Stephanie, and today I wanted to do a 2017 goal check-in. So I rewatched my old 2017 reading resolutions video, and lucky for me, my resolutions were pretty lax. So I really only said two main things that I wanted to do in 2017 in my reading. And one of them was do the 2017 PopSugar Reading Challenge, and the second was to have 25% of my reading be nonfiction. So it ended up being that 13% of my reading was nonfiction, which is a lot better than it was last year, but still not the 25% I had wanted to do. But I did complete, for the most part, except for like one thing, I did the PopSugar Reading Challenge. So I'm just gonna go through and show you what I read for each of the PopSugar Reading Challenges. So the first thing is a book that's been on your TBR way too long, and for me that was Bird Box by Josh Malerman. The second one was A Book of Letters, and for this one I did Tiny Beautiful Things by Cheryl Strayed. Third was an audiobook, and for this I listened to Stiff by Mary Roach. 4 was a book by a person of color, and for this I read The Turner House by Angela Flournoy. Number 5 was a book with a season in the title, and for this I read Summer of Night by Dan Simmons. 6 was a story within a story. I read The Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz. 7 was a book with multiple authors, and for this I read The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society by Marianne Schaefer and Annie Barrows. And this one's kind of sad because Annie Barrows finished the story for Marianne Schaefer after she died. Number 8 was Espionage Thriller, and this was the one I didn't end up doing because I just could not find anything that sounded interesting, and I just never found myself in the mood to read that kind of book, so oops. Number 9 was a book with a cat on the cover, and for this I ended up reading White Tiger by Aravind Adiga. Number 10 was read a book where the author is using a pseudonym, and for this I read Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith, who is actually J.K. Rowling. Number 11, read a bestseller from a genre you don't normally read, and for this I did kind of YA contemporary, and I did Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell, a book about a person with a disability. And for this, I did Wolf in White Van by John Darnielle. And number 13 is a book involving travel, and I did The Flying Couch by Amy Kurtzel. Number 14 was a book where there is a subtitle in the title, and for this, I read, this is a long one, Everybody Lies, Big Data, New Data, and What the Internet Can Tell Us About Who We Really Are by Seth Stevens Davidowitz. Number 15 was a 2017 release, and I read Perfect Little World by Kevin Wilson. Number 16 was a book with a mythical creature, and for this I read Let the Right One In by John Adita Lindquist, and this is vampires, which I am also counting for another category, you'll see. So number 17 is a book that makes you smile, and for this I did Understanding Rap, which is just one of those like stupid like Urban Outfitters novelty books, but it does make me smile. Number 18 is a book about food. For this I read The Particular Sadness of Lemon Cake by Amy Bender. 19 is a book that gives you career advice. For this I did Smoke Gets in Your Eyes and Other Lessons from the Crematory by Caitlin Doughty. Number 20 is a book from a non-human perspective, and for this I did Fledgling by Octavia Butler. And yes, this is another vampire book. Number 21 is a steampunk novel, and for this I read A League of Extraordinary Gentlemen by Alan Moore. 22 is a book with a red spine. For this I read The Troop by Nick Cutter. 23, set in the wilderness. A bit of a stretch, but I did The History of Wolves by Emily Friedland. Number 24 is a book you loved as a child. For this I read A Wrinkle in Time by Madeline L'Engle. 25 is an author from a country you've never visited, and for this I read The Inheritance of Loss by Kiran Desai, and that took place in India. 26, read a book where a title is the main character's name. For this I read Eleanor by Jason Gurley. 27, a novel set during wartime. I read The Guinevere's by Sarah Domet. 28, a book with an unreliable narrator. I read The Sense of an Ending by Julian Barnes. 29, read a book with pictures. I read a graphic novel. This was Everything is Teeth by Evie Wilde. So number 30 is read a book where the main character is a different ethnicity than you, and for this I read Till the Well Runs Dry by Lauren Francis Sharma. Number 31, read a book about an interesting woman, and for this I picked I Feel Bad About My Neck by Nora Ephron. Number 32, read a book that takes place in 2 time periods, and for this I'm doing Black Mad Wheel by Josh Malerman. 33 is read a book with a month or day of the week in the title. For this I'm doing 10th of December by George Saunders. Almost there. Book set in a hotel. Death at Breakfast by Beth Gutchin. 35, a book by someone you admire. And I did Kitchen Confidential by Anthony Bourdain. Read a book that was made into a movie in 2017. So this was The Dinner by Herman Koch. Read a book that takes place during a holiday that's not Christmas. And for this I read Still Life by Louise Penny, and that took place during Thanksgiving. 38, read something that's the first book in a series, and for this I did Some Luck by Jane Smiley, and this I think is called the 100 Years trilogy, and it follows like a family through different generations. And lastly, a book you bought on a trip. So this is The Indifferent Stars Above, the harrowing saga of a Donner Party Bride by Daniel James Brown, and I bought this actually when I did a booktuber meetup last year with Kate Howe and Olive and Emma at A Bookish Princess and Rebecca at The Book Nester, and it was so much fun. So such good memories. Also, this book was great. Now for my resolutions for next year, I think I'm going to try to do a reading challenge again. It gave me extra motivation to pick things up off my TBR that I normally wouldn't have had the motivation to read, and I did read a lot of interesting things, especially the first half of the year where I was really motivated to get this challenge done. So I did like it. This last year I started the podcast with Rachel at the Shades of Orange, Books in the Freezer, so I am going to be reading a lot more horror, but this next year, one of the things I want to do, not necessarily quantify it, but I want to read a lot more historical fiction because I realize that it's something I really do enjoy. I do love that feeling of getting lost in a story and learning about a different time period and just finishing a book and going through a deep dive of that part in history and learning something because I just found that story so fascinating. So I will be doing a video on historical fiction books I want to get to in 2018 that will be coming up, but one of my goals is to read more historical fiction. I still have yet to pick which reading challenge I want to do for next year. I'm going to take a look through the different ones, take a look at Book Riots and PopSugars and Modern Mrs. Darcy and see which one best fits the kind of reading I'm going to be doing in 2018. But something else I want to do this next year is I want to try to get over my fear of giant books. And so I do want to see if I can tackle some of the longer books on my TBR. So that's something I'm going to be focusing on this year, is tackling some big books, tackling some more historical fiction, obviously reading more horror, maybe doing a reading challenge. So those are my check-ins for my 2017 goals and my possible 2018 goals. If I decide on a reading challenge, I will let you know and do a video on that where I tell you. But anyway, that's what I have right now, guys. How did you guys do on your 2017 goals? Did it work out for you? Did you fail miserably? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!